Hello, my dear friends. Hope you're doing well. Mike Shreve here. Thank you so very much for listening to this Peaceful Profits podcast episode. Very excited to be sharing with you a very simple exercise that when you engage in it, typically when I do this with myself or with clients, we see a 20-to-1 return. In other words, for every hour that you spend doing this exercise, you can expect 20 times the revenue generation when compared to other exercises that you may engage in as a business owner. And that includes the activities such as sales or marketing. Okay, so what we're talking about here will generate you 20 times more revenue than you engaging in sales and marketing. Okay, this is how important it is. Specifically, what we're talking about here is creating irresistible offers. Now, before everyone rolls their eyes and says, oh, I already have an offer, my offer's fine, I will tell you that in the now coming up on 15 plus years in business, I have never met an offer, seen an offer, met an offer owner, seen in any business where an offer couldn't be improved. Now, when we say offer improvement, let's talk a little bit about some real numbers. What we're really talking about is the ability to deliver bigger, better results, which allows us to make bigger, better promises and claims, which then allows us to have bigger, better financial realities. The financial realities specifically that we're talking about are bigger, better margins and bigger, better what you might call reduction in friction to sales and marketing. In other words, when you're able to have a better offer, sales and marketing becomes easier. So again, earlier I said, the more time you spend in sales and marketing versus doing this activity, it's a lower value activity. Why? Because increasing the irresistibility of your offer is in fact the best way to improve your sales and marketing. Sales and marketing is simply a reflection of what your offer is. So the more time you spend on this creating an irresistible offer, the more your business grows, but not just in volume, not just to get the plaques and the awards and the et cetera, but in actually increasing the piece of your business. So again, higher margins, way easier to sell. Typically better clients are attracted to better results, especially as offers become saturated. So if you're in a very saturated market, the better offer will always win. You can attract better sales teams and better marketing teams and better fulfillment teams when they have a solid offer to, be excited about and to be a part of, and et cetera, et cetera. So while offer creation may not be the most exciting to some, for me, I love it. The more time I can spend thinking about how to improve my offer, the happier I am because I know what the results of that will be. For example, just the past 2.5 weeks, I've been sitting down thinking about how to improve the offers that we have, but also as a result of that, a new offer has kind of come to fruition, if you will. By going through these exercises, specifically one exercise I'm going to give you today, the result was an entirely new revenue stream in the business that will very likely be worth somewhere between $70,000 to $150,000 per month in revenue. And the amount of time and effort that I will need to put into delivery for that particular offer is almost zero. And what sparked that particular offer is the exercise that I'm going to give to you now. And I just wanted to share that with you, that's how powerful this is, right? How often can you spend 2 weeks in your business and come up with an additional $1 million a year in revenue? Except when you're thinking about offers, right? An additional $1 million in revenue very rarely comes from micro improvements in marketing and sales, but it can most certainly, and it certainly is easier to come from when, thinking about offers and offer creation. Okay, so here is the exercise, very simple. Take your existing offer. Okay, take your existing offer, whatever it is that you sell, and ask yourself a very simple question. What does a successful customer or client look like at the end of this particular offer? What have they achieved? What have they overcome? What does success look like for the buyer of this offer? What are we trying to do? What is the outcome of this thing that we are building together? And make that list. So let's say, for example, we have, we're a relationship coach and we're creating, or we have already an existing program on how to help divorcees, find love again. Let's say that's the offer. Okay. In that particular instance, the buyer of that offer, so a divorcee who is trying to look for love again, comes into our program, and there's a couple things that they'll achieve by the end of the program. For us to say, we did our job. Let's say one of them is, they'll overcome any guilty feelings, or they'll be able to kind of, in a healthy way, put the past behind them, free themselves from the bonds of guilt, and etc. They'll fall back in love with themselves, so they'll have self-confidence again. They'll believe in themselves again. Let's say another one, what might be, they'll be in a healthy relationship again. It doesn't mean you have to be married, but maybe for us in this program, just if they can get back into a healthy relationship and, they can use the lessons they learned from their past mistakes to inform this relationship and be on a healthy, sturdy ground, that would be, we feel like that's a really good outcome for the people who buy this program. Okay, so that's step one. What does a successful customer or client look like in our offer? If you're running Facebook ads, they're getting 3x ROAS and they're spending $100,000 a month and whatever that might be. A weight loss program, for example. They're on a steady diet. They love their diet. They're working out 30 minutes a day and they've lost, 10% of their body weight or something like that. Whatever the outcomes are that you're trying to deliver to people, list those out so that at least you have a clear picture of when somebody buys this thing, whatever your offer is, whether it's a coaching program, done for you service, whatever, what is the outcome? Step one. Step two is then to ask yourself a very simple question. And it takes some time to think through this, but what are the one or two unlocking mechanisms for this outcome to come to pass? Okay, so let's go back to the example of the relationship coach working with divorcees. What is something on this journey to, just divorced or divorced a while ago to, they're back in a healthy relationship, they overcome their guilt, et cetera, et cetera. In that arc, in that transformation, in that journey that someone has to go on to or go through to get to the outcome that we want them to achieve, what are some of the unlocking mechanisms? Another way to think about it, what are the aha moments? What are the big hurdle removers? I'll give you some examples. In this example, or in this sort of case study here, of a relationship coach who helps divorcees, one of the things that may be a big sort of unlocking mechanism that once somebody achieves this, they just, they skyrocket off to success and the rest of the process becomes very easy, might be overcoming the guilt. Right? That's an unlocking mechanism. Once somebody who's recently been divorced can overcome the guilt, the rest of it's pretty easy. Right? Now, I don't know if that's true, but I'm just saying, if you're the coach, you're the expert, you're looking at what is the thing that if they can just unlock that, if they can hit that stride, if they can hit that step, the rest is actually pretty easy. Identify that. There's usually only a small handful. In most transformational-based offers, where an outcome is what people are paying for, there's usually only one or two, maybe three mechanisms which, when a customer achieves that, whatever that is, that checkpoint, that the rest of the process is fairly easy. Let's talk about Facebook ads, for example. So let's say that, for you, like 3x ROAS and $100,000 a month, ad spend is for you like the dream outcome. Well, one of the things that for you might be an unlocking mechanism is that their funnel converts at certain KPIs. Right? Like let's say, for example, it's a webinar funnel or something, and it's got a 30% landing page and 5% conversion on blah, 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 whatever it might be. And you've identified that once they have that in place, once those KPIs are there, the rest is easy. You can pour on the spend, you can, whatever it might be. Or maybe for you, it's, once they have a very specific, irresistible type of offer, you can go to town and you can absolutely crank and do amazing things. And it's so easy for you to get results when people have that one piece unlocked. Right? For the weight loss offer, for example, once somebody has committed to a diet and they're eating that diet every single day, the rest is easy. They just have to buy into and commit to the diet. It's not even about, did they do the diet for 30 days? It's, have they committed to it? Do they believe it? Are they really actually going to follow through, and do they have a process for following through? And once that's unlocked, once that happens, the rest of the process is pretty easy to get them to, I think we said like 10% body weight loss and sticking to diets and doing exercise plans and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so that's step number two. Remember, step number one is get clear about the outcome you're trying to deliver. Step number two then is to identify one or two unlocking mechanisms. And then step number three is to ask yourself this, not to be too tongue-in-cheek, but to ask yourself this multi-million-dollar question. The multi-million-dollar question is, how can I get their unlocking mechanism unlocked faster? How can I help them to unlock that thing, which makes the rest of it easier, faster? Think about that for a second. If somebody comes into a coaching program and say, let's go back to these examples that we've been using, and they're trying to help divorcees to, be in a good relationship, overcome their guilt, and all the things that we've been saying, if we know that one of the unlocking mechanisms is wrestling and dealing with that guilt, it makes sense. It makes logical sense that if somebody purchases something from us and gets a result faster, they will value the purchase more than if it takes them longer to achieve the same result. Now, please don't confuse what I'm saying with like freneticism, that people are buying things and like, and there's, they're like freaking out. What I'm saying is the perception of what money is often a retroactive perception. In other words, somebody buys something and it takes them a long time to achieve it, that money all of a sudden feels more expensive than if it was a very quick result, right? So if we can look at our offers and say, what is the thing that speeds up the rest of it, right? The unlocking mechanism, if they just have this, if they just get this, then the rest of it's pretty easy. Then we say, how can we make that thing, whatever it might be, that achievement, that checklist, whatever, the mechanism, whatever you want to call it, how can we help them to achieve that faster? How can we help them to do it faster? Now, here's what will happen is at first, you're going to start thinking about more of the same, right? So if typically you are running, let's say, a group coaching program, you think, well, I'll just make more training to unlock that for people. And that is definitely an improvement. But one thing to consider is that sometimes more of the same isn't actually more. Sometimes if you find in your offer that people are struggling with, whatever that unlock, trying to unlock that mechanism that accelerates their growth through the rest of the process, if you find that people are struggling with that in your offer currently, then it might be that the delivery methods you've already have going on in that offer are why it's taking people longer. So for example, if you're in a group coaching program and people are struggling with that very critical moment to unlock their guilt, for example, maybe it's not that you need more training. Maybe what you need is a different way to solve it. Maybe what you need is a session specifically designed. It's a one-on-one session. And maybe, it's something that can be done in 45 minutes or 90 minutes, or maybe it's more than one session. And the entire focus is overcoming guilt. And someone comes into your program, and within the first week, they're booking that call to have that first session. And all you're focused on is what? Unlocking the mechanism that unlocks and accelerates the rest of the process. But you're using a different delivery method, or you can call it a different delivery modality, a fulfillment process. And you say to yourself, well, I don't want to sit there and take one-on-one phone calls with everybody, et cetera, et cetera. Here's a little pro tip. If you really want to run a Peaceful Profits business, stop thinking you have to do everything and realize there are people who would love to sit and talk to people every single day about overcoming their guilt. And you can add that delivery method, which would be somebody else, to your offer, and the offer itself improves overall. In fact, you can improve the quality of unlocking that mechanism by specifically looking for someone who specializes in overcoming guilt. Now your offer went from you, who maybe you're offering this relationship offer because you yourself went through a divorce and you know from personal experience that overcoming guilt, etc., but you might not consider yourself an expert in guilt. You just know it's something that has to be overcome before you start to have self-confidence and believe in yourself, and then that's what spurs on the ability to attract healthy relationships and all that kind of stuff. So you know from your own personal experience that it's critical, but you may not necessarily be an expert in overcoming guilt. Well, you can bring on an expert, and they can fulfill on part of your offer, and as a result, the overall offer is now better, easier to sell. People are getting results faster. You're not delivering everything. You're actually relying on the expertise of other people, and etc. Let's go to the example of the Facebook ads people. Okay, so you have a Facebook ads service. Let's say it's a monthly service, and you're so used to being a done-for-you person, right? Where you're like, okay, I know that if I can just get them a better offer, we can get 3x and scale to $100,000 a month. That'll be so great and so easy. That's the thing that unlocks the rest of the journey. Well, what if you partnered with somebody who has an incredible group coaching offer that has tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of results, and you work out a deal that when somebody becomes a new client, they get access to this group coaching offer where all they do in that particular group coaching program is they create, the best offer ever. right? That would be a way that you help your clients unlock the thing that allows you to deliver much better results. Now, another example is you could do, part of our onboarding is, for 3 days, we're going to sit down and improve your offer. And maybe you have the people on your team already, and maybe that's something you can do. Or maybe you know yourself that if they just filled out a simple worksheet, listen to some videos, you've been doing this so long, you know exactly what a good offer looks like. And so rather than just offering Facebook ad services, what makes your offer unique, what makes it easier to sell, what makes you get results easier is that when somebody buys from you, part of the onboarding process is offer improvement so that you can hit the ground running, right? Instead of, let's start your ads tomorrow on a bad offer, let's take 3 to 5 days, work through, get your offer totally dialed in and tweaked and perfect. And it's going to be 3 to 5 days slower than we normally do. But overall, when we hit the ground running after that, it's going to be much faster to accelerate to the results you're looking for. The health and wellness offer, the weight loss offer. We identified that the mechanism is a commitment to a diet, right? Well, what if you just gave people the food? What if you literally said, we're going to ship you the food for 12 weeks? And you partner with a company, you figure it out, you do whatever you have to do. You use your entrepreneurial skills to improve the speed to the outcome that somebody is desiring. Because look, what's one of the biggest problems with weight loss offers is that when you ask somebody to change their diet, there's a whole list of things they have to do. They have to figure out how to find the right food. They have to now learn new recipes, and they're going to have to cook it, and all their old habits of the food they used to go to, they're going to change it. What if we just wipe all of that off the plate and say, you know what? Just take this food. We're going to ship a big box of food to you every week or whatever it might be. But you still have the rest of your program. You still have the coaching and the calls and whatever your offer is. This isn't about radically changing the entire offer. This is about identifying what is that unlocking mechanism. What is the thing that is either hard to achieve, or it's the thing that people get hung up on, or it's the thing that if people could get it done faster would unlock the rest of the journey to the outcomes that you're hoping people will achieve. And what you'll find is when you start thinking about your offer in this way, right? Because if you're in the help business, all of your offers are transformational. Even if you're a blog post writer, you have transformational offers. And when you start thinking about your offers in this way, then one of the things that you'll soon realize is that, hold on a second, I don't have to just do this once. I can do this for all the different steps in whatever the journey is for the transformation I'm trying to help people to achieve. And what you start developing are more inclusive, well-balanced, efficient, and perhaps the most important in today's world, speedy outcomes for those people who buy. So now by definition, just because the timelines have changed, because you yourself have thought through creative ways to deliver faster outcomes, the offer now becomes tremendously more valuable. For example, would you like me to give you, or here's a better way to put it, how much would you pay me to pay you $1,000 10 years from now? Versus how much would you pay me to give you $1,000 tomorrow? Those are two very different value propositions, but it's the same outcome. You get $1,000. But your willingness to pay, in other words, the perception of the value, that's all paying means, is what do you perceive this to be valuable? What is the perception of the value that you think is going to happen in this transaction for yourself? It changes dramatically when you change the timeline. Okay. Now, please understand, I've not mentioned anything about marketing. I've not mentioned anything about, go out there and start promising insane timelines because, one, almost every major platform that you can advertise on doesn't like those timelines. Depending on how you sort of interpret operation income from the FTC, it doesn't sound like they like timeline guarantees either or anything like that. But when you're looking at how can I make the offer more valuable, right? And what you'll find is that you will likely identify the same pain points that your buyers are desiring solid solutions to. So example, I'm not an expert in this field, but just for continuity, we go back to the very first offer we talked about. You're a relationship coach helping people overcome the results and the aftermath of a divorce and trying to help them to have a healthy relationship again. You, as the sort of expert in this area, have identified that if they just are able to overcome the guilt and have a healthy relationship with themselves as it relates to, what happened in their past relationship and be okay with that and kind of, be able to like live a happy and guilt-free life in that regard, that is a big unlocking mechanism. Well, if you know that is central to the growth of that person, and when you start telling prospects that you have figured out a way, or that you have a very specific solution to helping that specific pain point, what you will find is that most buyers in today's market will say, thank heavens. Because the unlocking mechanisms that you have identified as the expert, many of your buyers understand intuitively as a hurdle that they themselves also have to overcome. Let me see if I can put it in a different way. If you've ever bought Facebook ads services before, then you know that if things don't go well, the Facebook ads people say, well, your offer's not very good. And so if you've been in this market for a while and you're really, I'm struggling to find a media buyer who can help me, and all of a sudden you're talking to a media buyer who says, oh yeah, we'll actually help to make sure your offer is something we can work with. What happens as the buyer? You say, these are the people I need to work with. So again, for those of you who are in jaded markets where people are used to buying stuff and it not really working out, and because a lot of people online don't really think about their offer. They get something that kind of sells, they say, that's good, I don't need to improve it ever. The companies that are going to outlast everybody else are the companies that are constantly looking at improving their offers. But if you're in a jaded market, then putting time into identifying these common roadblocks, tripping points, areas where people get stuck in other programs, and asking yourself, how can I just get them that outcome, that specific outcome, as fast as possible? What you'll find is that can often close the deal. And so when you do this kind of work, this is when your conversion rates go up. This is when you're able to start charging a little more, which allows you to then do the things that I talked about earlier, like partnering, finding other people who can help to fulfill on the things that you say, I know this is what they need, but I don't necessarily know how to deliver it faster. Well, guess what? There's billions of people on this planet. The chances are very, very high that what you are trying to help someone achieve, somebody already knows how to achieve for people. I mean, it's very, very high odds that's true. So that's it, my friends. It's really simple. Step one, you just think about and get real clarity about what the outcomes are that you deliver for people. You then identify what is the mechanism, the unlocking mechanism, that when you turn that key on that one point through that journey, through that process, that when that is achieved for people, the rest of the journey to the outcomes we desire are fairly quick and easy, right? It's just unlock this thing and away we go. And then you ask, how can you make it faster? And you don't burden yourself with thinking that you are the only solution to that problem. And you get creative. And if you need help, that's what we do in Peaceful Profits, is we help people to create those offers. Then they can write a book to sell those offers, and et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, here's my shameless plug. If you would like help improving your offer and thinking of these different ways that you can actually grow the value, in many cases by working less, not working more, by working less, by spending more time thinking about your offer than necessarily delivering on your offer, then just go to peacefulprofits.com/call. We'd love to have a chat with you. There's many ways we can help you improve your offer. We have do-it-yourself, done with you, and done-for-you solutions, and we can help you achieve that relatively quickly. Okay, so that's my shameless plug. The point of today's podcast, though, is beyond just this individual activity, the idea that the more time you spend working on your offer, whatever it is, the more your business will grow. And as a result of doing this exact exercise on one of our offers, I not only have a plan to improve that offer, I now have a plan for a secondary offer. Because sometimes what you'll find is that there are ways that you can create secondary offers to prepare people for your primary offers. So there may be something separate that comes out of this brainstorming. You think, you know what? If everyone who bought this primary offer already had this, then everyone who bought my primary offer would get results even faster. And you can come up with secondary offers which have outcomes that they are now prepared to get really, really good, very fast outcomes in our primary offers. And that's maybe a podcast episode for another time. But the point is that the more time you spend thinking about what it is that you do, who you do it for, what the outcomes are, how can you make it more valuable, the faster you will be able to grow as a business. Okay? So that's it, my friends. Again, peacefulprofits.com/call if you would like help with any of this. Otherwise, I hope you have a fabulous day, and I'll talk to you later.